Welcome back. Today we explore the 12 Labors of Hercules. As always, relax and let yourself drift away. Let's begin. In ancient Greece, where gods and mortals intertwined, a hero's journey began 12,000 years ago that would shape Western storytelling. Heracles, born of Zeus and a mortal woman, embodied the Greek ideal of heroism. His life, a testament to redemption and human potential, faced constant trials from the jealous goddess Hera. Heracles' greatest challenge arose not from external foes, but from within, a divinely induced madness that led him to commit an unthinkable act. The murder of his own family set him on a path of atonement, encompassing 12 seemingly impossible labors. Today, we dive deep into the myth, the man, and the monster within, as we explore the legendary 12 Labors of Hercules. The tale of Heracles begins with a divine act of deception. Zeus, the king of the gods, known for his infidelities, set his sights on Alcmene, wife of Amphitryon, and renowned for her beauty and virtue. Zeus saw an opportunity to sire a hero who would become the greatest of his mortal offspring. On a fateful night, Zeus assumed the form of Amphitryon, who was away at war, and lay with Alcmene. To ensure his plan's success, Zeus extended the night to triple its usual length, a cosmic manipulation known as the Long Night. This act of divine trickery set in motion events that would reshape the fabric of both mortal and divine realms. Hera, Zeus's wife and queen of the gods, learned of the affair and was consumed by jealousy and rage. Her fury stemmed not only from Zeus's infidelity, but also from the threat this new demigod posed to the celestial order. Using her influence over childbirth, Hera delayed Alcmene's delivery while hastening the birth of another royal infant, Eurystheus. Zeus had declared that the descendant of Perseus, born on that day, would rule over Mycenae and the surrounding lands. By manipulating the timing of the births, Hera ensured that Eurystheus, not Heracles, would inherit this promised kingdom. Despite Hera's machinations, the birth of Heracles was a momentous occasion. The name chosen for the child, Heracles, meaning glory of Hera, was perhaps an attempt to appease the goddess's wrath or a bitter irony given her animosity towards him. From his earliest days, Heracles displayed extraordinary abilities that set him apart from mortal children. His strength was unparalleled, and his appetite was voracious, requiring constant attention from his nurses. Hera's enmity towards Heracles persisted. She sent 2 enormous serpents to kill the infant as he lay in his crib. While his twin brother, Iphicles, cried out in terror, Heracles showed no fear. With strength that belied his infancy, he grasped the serpents, one in each hand, and strangled them with ease. This act of heroism, performed before Heracles could walk, was witnessed by his mortal parents, Amphitryon and Alcmene. They were struck with awe and fear, recognizing that their child was destined for greatness, but also understanding the dangers such power might bring. As Heracles grew from infancy into youth, his exceptional nature became even more apparent. His education befitted a prince and potential hero, receiving training in warfare, music, and astronomy from some of the most renowned figures of the age, each contributing to the development of his mind and body. Heracles' extraordinary strength, a gift from the gods, came with a terrible price. As the young demigod grew, his education became paramount. The challenge of training a hero destined for greatness fell to some of Greece's most renowned masters, each tasked with honing a different aspect of Heracles' potential. These illustrious tutors imparted a diverse array of skills to the young hero. From the precise art of archery to the delicate strains of music, Heracles' education was as broad as it was deep. Yet, despite the wealth of knowledge at his disposal, a crucial element eluded the demigod: the ability to control his immense power. Heracles' struggle with his temper became a defining characteristic of his youth. His supernatural strength, combined with volatile emotions, created a dangerous combination that threatened both friend and foe. This internal conflict proved as formidable an opponent as any monster he would later face. Unlike other Greek heroes who battled external foes, Heracles' greatest enemy was often himself. The incident with Linus, Heracles' music teacher, starkly illustrated his lack of control. During a lesson, Linus harshly criticized Heracles' performance. In a fit of rage, Heracles struck his tutor on the head with the instrument, killing him instantly. This tragic event foreshadowed the destruction Heracles was capable of when his anger took hold. Despite this setback, Heracles' path to heroism continued. His first true test as a warrior came after his foster father, Amphitryon, fell in battle against the Minions. Heracles stepped forward to take his place, assuming the role of general and leading the Theban army into conflict. During this campaign, Heracles caught the attention of Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom. Recognizing his potential, Athena appeared to him on the battlefield, bestowing gifts from the gods, weapons and armor forged in the divine workshops of Olympus. These celestial armaments marked Heracles as a chosen champion of the gods. Heracles' leadership and valor proved decisive. The Theban army emerged victorious, and upon their return, Heracles was hailed as a hero. In recognition of his service, the king of Thebes offered Heracles his daughter, Megara, in marriage. The union of Heracles and Megara brought a period of relative peace. For several years, they lived contentedly in Thebes, raising 3 children. Heracles' role as defender of the city brought him respect and adoration, while his family life seemed to provide a stabilizing influence on his volatile nature. Yet, even as Heracles enjoyed this domestic tranquility, the threads of fate were being woven around him. The goddess Hera, still burning with hatred for her husband's illegitimate son, had not forgotten her desire for vengeance. As Heracles' fame grew, so too did Hera's determination to destroy him, setting the stage for the trials that would define his legendary status. The Oracle of Delphi stood as a beacon of divine wisdom in the ancient Greek world, revered as the mouthpiece of Apollo himself. It was to this sacred site that Heracles journeyed, his heart heavy with the weight of his unimaginable crimes. The hero sought guidance, desperate to find a path to redemption for the murder of his own family. As he approached the temple, the air thick with the scent of burning laurel leaves, Heracles could not have foreseen the monumental task that awaited him. The Pythia, Apollo's chosen priestess, sat upon her tripod, inhaling the vapors that rose from a chasm beneath the temple floor. As Heracles posed his question, the oracle fell into a trance, her words carrying the weight of divine pronouncement. The decree was clear. Heracles must serve King Eurystheus of Mycenae for 10 years, completing 12 seemingly impossible labors. This concept of atonement through heroic deeds was deeply ingrained in Greek mythology. The gods often demanded great acts of penance from mortals who had transgressed, particularly those who had committed grievous sins such as murder. Heracles' case was unique, as the magnitude of his crime demanded an equally monumental act of redemption. The significance of the number 12 in Greek mythology was profound. It represented completeness and divine order, appearing in various contexts such as the 12 Olympian gods. By assigning 12 labors to Heracles, the oracle imbued his quest with cosmic importance, each completed task bringing him closer to spiritual wholeness and ultimately to a place among the gods themselves. King Eurystheus, now ruler of Mycenae due to Hera's earlier machinations, would play a crucial role in Heracles' journey. As the taskmaster assigned by the oracle, Eurystheus was responsible for setting the terms of each labor. Jealous of the hero's fame and fearful of his strength, Eurystheus sought to make each task as difficult as possible. Upon hearing the oracle's decree, Heracles was initially overcome with shame and despair. Yet, as the initial shock subsided, a spark of determination ignited within him. Here was a chance to make amends for his actions, to channel his immense strength and skills toward a noble purpose. As Heracles contemplated the road ahead, he knew that each labor would test not only his physical prowess, but also his wit, courage, and resolve. The hero who had once led armies to victory and slain serpents in his crib would now face trials that would push him to the very limits of his abilities. The first of these labors would be to slay the Nemean lion, a monstrous creature with a hide impervious to mortal weapons. As Heracles prepared for this inaugural task, he recognized that this challenge represented the first step on his path to redemption. In the hills of Nemea, a monstrous creature struck fear into the hearts of the local populace. The Nemean lion, with its golden coat gleaming in the sunlight, had brought terror to the region. Its massive form prowled through the rocky landscape, leaving destruction in its wake. The beast's lair, a dark and cavernous den nestled deep within the hills, was littered with the bones of its victims. Heracles approached this challenge with determination and caution. He spent months in rigorous preparation, pushing the limits of his already extraordinary strength. The hero uprooted trees and lifted massive boulders, honing his physical prowess. Heracles also studied the beast's habits, recognizing that this battle would require more than brute force. As Heracles entered the lion's domain, he quickly discovered the truth behind the tales. His arrows bounced harmlessly off the creature's golden fur, and his sword could not pierce its hide. The lion's roar echoed through the hills, a sound that had sent countless warriors fleeing in terror. But Heracles stood his ground, realizing he would have to confront this beast with his bare hands. The battle that ensued was a true clash of titans. For hours, Heracles wrestled with the lion, their struggle a testament to the raw power of both man and beast. The hero's muscles strained as he grappled with the creature, seeking any advantage. The lion's claws raked across Heracles' skin, drawing blood, but still he persevered. As the fight wore on, Heracles began to understand the nature of his opponent. The lion's impenetrable hide was its greatest strength, but also a potential weakness. In a moment of desperate inspiration, Heracles managed to grasp the lion's throat, cutting off its air supply. For what seemed like an eternity, they remained locked in this deadly embrace. Finally, with a sickening crack, the lion's struggle ceased. Exhausted but triumphant, Heracles faced a new challenge. Using one of the lion's own razor-sharp claws, he began the grueling task of skinning the creature. The hide that had resisted all weapons now yielded to its own claw, revealing the secret of its invulnerability. As Heracles donned the lion's skin as a cloak, he felt a profound change come over him. This was more than just a trophy, it was a symbol of his transformation. The lion skin cloak became an iconic part of Heracles' identity, representing not only his physical strength but also his cunning and resourcefulness. In future adventures, it served as both armor and a reminder of his ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds. The defeat of the Nemean lion marked a turning point in Heracles' journey. He had faced an impossible task and emerged victorious through strength, perseverance, and ingenuity. This victory became a powerful symbol in Greek and Roman culture, representing the idea of overcoming one's inner demons and external challenges. Fresh from his victory over the Nemean lion, Heracles faced a challenge that would test the very limits of his ingenuity. The Lernaean Hydra, a fearsome water serpent with 9 heads, lurked in the murky swamps of Lerna. This creature, whose very essence defied the laws of nature, held a significant place in Greek mythology. Some accounts claimed it was the offspring of Typhon and Echidna, while others believed it was a creation of Hera herself, designed specifically to challenge Heracles. The Hydra's reputation as a scourge of the land was well earned. Its poisonous breath could kill anyone who dared approach its lair, and one of its heads was immortal. The creature's blood was known to be the most poisonous substance to humans, making it a formidable adversary even for the son of Zeus. As Heracles ventured into the swamps, he quickly realized that this battle would require more than brute strength. His initial attempts to slay the Hydra proved futile and counterproductive. Each time he severed one of the creature's heads, 2 new ones would sprout in its place. This regenerative ability symbolized the seemingly insurmountable challenges that often arise in life, where conventional solutions only exacerbate the problem. Recognizing the need for a new approach, Heracles called upon his nephew, Iolaus, to assist him. Together, they devised a strategy that would change the course of the battle. As Heracles severed each head, Iolaus would immediately cauterize the wound with a flaming torch, preventing the regrowth of new heads. This ingenious tactic allowed them to slowly but surely reduce the Hydra's number of heads without inadvertently strengthening it. The battle raged on, with Heracles wielding his club and Iolaus brandishing his torch. Even as they made progress, Hera sought to further complicate Heracles' task by sending a giant crab to aid the Hydra. Despite this additional challenge, Heracles and Iolaus persevered, their teamwork proving effective against both foes. As they neared victory, only the Hydra's immortal head remained. In a display of quick thinking, Heracles decided to bury the immortal head under a massive rock, effectively imprisoning it for eternity. With this act, the threat of the Lernaean Hydra was finally neutralized. Heracles' defeat of the Hydra demonstrated his ability to adapt seek help when needed, and overcome seemingly impossible odds through strategy and perseverance. The hero's approach to this labor highlighted the importance of innovative thinking and collaboration when faced with self-regenerating problems. By dipping his arrows in the Hydra's toxic blood, Heracles also showed foresight, creating weapons of unparalleled lethality that would prove crucial in his future labors. This victory was more than just a physical triumph for Heracles. It showcased his growth as a hero, proving that brawn alone was not enough to overcome every challenge. The lessons learned in facing the Hydra would serve him well in the trials to come, as each labor presented its own unique challenges that required more than just raw strength to overcome. Fresh from his triumph over the Hydra, Heracles faced a task that seemed deceptively simple: capture a deer. Yet this was no ordinary animal, and its pursuit would push the hero to the very limits of his endurance, testing both his body and spirit. The Ceryneian hind, also known as the golden hind, was a creature of divine origin. Sacred to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, this magnificent beast was renowned for its incredible speed. Its golden antlers and bronze hooves gleamed in the sunlight as it raced across the Greek landscape, embodying grace and swiftness. Heracles' quest to capture this elusive creature proved to be a test of patience and strategy rather than brute strength. For an entire year, the hero pursued the hind, demonstrating unparalleled determination. This prolonged chase took Heracles across vast stretches of Greece, from dense forests to craggy mountaintops, as he sought to match wits with a creature blessed by the gods themselves. The hero employed various tracking methods in his relentless pursuit. Drawing upon his exceptional hunting skills, Heracles studied the hind's habits and preferred habitats. He learned to read subtle signs in the environment: a bent blade of grass, a distant flash of gold in the sunlight, that might betray the creature's presence. As the months wore on, Heracles faced not only the physical challenge of the pursuit, but also a growing ethical dilemma. The hind's status as a sacred animal to Artemis weighed heavily on his conscience. How could he fulfill his duty to capture the creature without risking the wrath of the goddess? This moral quandary forced Heracles to consider the consequences of his actions in a way he hadn't before. The moment of capture, when it finally came, was a testament to Heracles' ingenuity. Realizing that he could not match the hind's speed on foot, the hero devised a clever strategy. He tracked the creature to a river crossing and, seizing his opportunity, loosed an arrow. The projectile whistled past the hind, startling it into the water. Slowed by the current, the magnificent beast finally found itself within Heracles' grasp. Yet Heracles' trial was far from over. As he began the journey back to Mycenae with his prize, he was confronted by an enraged Artemis. The goddess, furious at the capture of her sacred animal, demanded an explanation. With humility and respect, Heracles explained his predicament to Artemis. He spoke of the labors imposed upon him by King Eurystheus, of his quest for redemption, and of the impossibility of refusing this task. The hero's words, tinged with genuine remorse for any offense caused, seemed to resonate with the goddess. In a moment of divine understanding, Artemis relented, allowing Heracles to complete his labor on the condition that the hind be returned unharmed once presented to Eurystheus. This resolution highlighted a crucial aspect of Heracles' character development. The hero who had once relied solely on his strength now demonstrated the ability to navigate complex situations with tact and diplomacy. His interaction with Artemis showcased a growing maturity and understanding of the delicate balance between mortal ambition and divine will. Heracles' fourth labor, the capture of the Erymanthian boar, presented a challenge that tested both his legendary strength and strategic acumen. Mount Erymanthos, a significant location in Greek mythology, was known for its rugged terrain and harsh climate. The mountain's deep snow and treacherous slopes created a formidable backdrop for this task, symbolizing the hero's struggle against nature itself. The Erymanthian boar, a creature of immense destructive power, had been terrorizing the local population. Heracles was tasked with bringing the beast back alive to King Eurystheus, a feat that required careful planning and execution. The hero's journey to Mount Erymanthos was fraught with obstacles as he navigated the treacherous landscape and biting cold. Recognizing the need for both strength and cunning, Heracles devised a strategy to tire out the boar in the deep snow. This approach demonstrated a growing sophistication in his problem-solving abilities, as he incorporated environmental factors into his plans. The harsh weather conditions of Mount Erymanthos, with its blinding snowstorms and icy winds, played a crucial role in the hero's strategy. During his ascent, Heracles encountered his friend Pholus, a centaur known for his hospitality and wisdom. This meeting, initially a welcome respite, became a pivotal moment in the labor. Pholus's offer of food and shelter led to the opening of a communal wine jar, an act that would have far-reaching consequences. The aroma of the opened wine attracted other centaurs, resulting in a chaotic scene. The centaurs, prone to wild behavior when intoxicated, began to riot. This incident escalated into a violent confrontation between Heracles and the centaur horde, symbolizing the clash between civilization and untamed nature. In the ensuing battle, tragedy struck. Chiron, Heracles' former mentor, was accidentally shot with an arrow poisoned by the Hydra's blood. This event held deep symbolic significance, representing the unintended consequences of heroic actions and the price of knowledge and power. The accidental injury to Chiron served as a poignant reminder of the complexities of heroism. Heracles, who had come to capture a boar, now grappled with the harm caused to his teacher. This incident underscored the theme of responsibility that runs throughout Greek mythology, where even the greatest heroes must face the repercussions of their actions. Returning his focus to the primary objective, Heracles pursued the Erymanthian boar through the snow-covered slopes. His strategy of chasing the creature into deep snow proved effective, as the beast's strength waned in the challenging terrain. Using his immense strength, Heracles bound the exhausted boar with chains, preparing to bring it back to King Eurystheus. The successful capture of the boar marked the completion of Heracles' fourth labor, but the victory was tempered by the tragic events that had unfolded during his quest. Fresh from his bittersweet victory with the Erymanthian boar, Heracles encountered a labor that would test the limits of his ingenuity and challenge his very dignity as a hero. King Eurystheus, determined to humiliate the legendary son of Zeus, tasked Heracles with cleaning the Augean stables in a single day without the use of any tools. This seemingly impossible feat was designed to bring low the mighty hero, forcing him to contend with years of accumulated animal waste from the vast herds of immortal cattle owned by King Augeas of Elis. The Augean stables stood as a monument to neglect, their walls stained and crumbling under the weight of decades of filth. The air hung heavy with the pungent odor of waste, a miasma that permeated the surrounding lands for miles. Heracles surveyed the vast expanse of squalor, where mounds of dung rose like small hills and putrid streams trickled between them. The stables housed thousands of immortal cattle, their supernatural nature evident in the sheer volume of waste they produced. Realizing that brute force alone would not suffice, Heracles devised an ingenious solution. He reshaped the landscape, digging massive canals to divert the nearby rivers Alpheus and Pineus. As the sun began to set, the combined might of the two rivers surged through the stables, creating a torrent that swept away years of accumulated waste. The rushing waters cleansed the stables more thoroughly than any mortal effort could have achieved, leaving behind structures that gleamed in the fading light. The environmental impact of Heracles' solution extended far beyond the confines of the stables. The flood of water, rich with nutrients from the waste of immortal cattle, spread across the surrounding farmlands. This unexpected benefit brought new life to soil that had long been rendered barren, promising a future of agricultural prosperity for the citizens of Elis. The cleansing of the Augean stables symbolized more than just the completion of a seemingly impossible task. It represented a renewal of the land itself, washing away years of stagnation and neglect. The labor served as a metaphor for the purification of corrupt systems and the restoration of balance to nature. However, King Augeas, unwilling to part with his prized cattle, refused to acknowledge Heracles' success, claiming that the rivers, not the hero, had done the work. This conflict led to a heated dispute, with Augeas ultimately banishing Heracles from Elis. The king's actions cast a shadow over what should have been a triumphant moment, highlighting the often bittersweet nature of heroic deeds and the complexities of human nature in the face of divine intervention. As Heracles departed Elis, his reputation tarnished by accusations of cheating, he encountered a foe that defied conventional heroism. The Stymphalian birds presented a test not of brawn, but of wit. In the marshes of Arcadia, a plague from the sky awaited, one that even the mightiest hero couldn't simply overpower. The Stymphalian birds had long terrorized the region surrounding Lake Stymphalia, a vast expanse of swampy marshlands. These were no ordinary avians, but creatures of metal and malice, their bronze feathers as sharp as blades, and their droppings a toxic sludge that poisoned the land. The birds' origins were shrouded in mystery, with some attributing their creation to Ares, the god of war, as instruments of destruction. Heracles approached the marshy landscape with caution, knowing that his legendary strength alone would not suffice against this airborne menace. The dense foliage of the swamp provided perfect cover for the birds, making it nearly impossible for the hero to locate them, let alone engage them in combat. As he waded through the murky waters, the occasional glint of metallic feathers and the acrid stench of their poisonous waste were the only signs of their presence. The hero's initial attempts to flush out the birds proved futile. His arrows, which had felled countless monsters, now whistled harmlessly through the reeds as the birds remained hidden. Even when he managed to spot one of the creatures, its bronze plumage deflected his projectiles with ease. Heracles found himself in an unfamiliar position, outmatched and uncertain. As frustration mounted, Heracles began to understand the true nature of this labor. It was not merely a test of his physical prowess, but a challenge to his problem-solving abilities. The Stymphalian birds represented more than just a physical threat. They symbolized the internal and external struggles faced by heroes. In this moment of doubt, divine intervention arrived in the form of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategic warfare. Recognizing Heracles' plight, she provided him with a powerful tool, bronze rattles forged by Hephaestus himself. These kratala, as they were called, would prove instrumental in Heracles' strategy against the birds. With the divine gift in hand, Heracles ascended to a high point overlooking the marshes. He began to shake the kratala, producing a cacophonous din that reverberated across the landscape. The effect on the Stymphalian birds was immediate and dramatic. Unaccustomed to such noise, they burst from their hiding places in a panic, their metal wings creating a deafening clatter as they took to the skies. As the birds circled in confusion, Heracles seized his opportunity. With practiced precision, he knocked arrow after arrow, each finding its mark among the flock. The bronze-tipped shafts, still coated with the hydra's venom from his previous labor, proved effective against the birds' metallic hides. One by one, the Stymphalian birds fell from the sky, their reign of terror brought to an end by the hero's cunning and skill. The battle raged on for hours, with Heracles alternating between the kratala to drive the birds out and his bow to bring them down. As the sun began to set, the last of the Stymphalian birds either lay defeated or had fled far beyond the borders of Arcadia. As Heracles set foot on Crete, an island steeped in mythological significance, he faced a challenge that would test not only his strength, but his ability to subdue a creature imbued with divine power. The Cretan bull, once a symbol of King Minos's right to rule, had become a scourge upon the land. This extraordinary animal had its origins in Poseidon's favor. The sea god sent the bull to King Minos, intending it to be sacrificed in his honor. However, Minos, struck by the creature's beauty, kept it for himself. This defiance set in motion a chain of tragic events. Poseidon's retribution was swift. He caused Pasiphae, Minos's wife, to fall madly in love with the bull, resulting in the Minotaur's birth, a monstrous hybrid with a man's body and a bull's head. The Minotaur became Minos's shame, hidden in the labyrinth. Meanwhile, the Cretan bull, driven mad by Poseidon, rampaged across the island. Upon arriving in Crete, Heracles encountered a land in turmoil. Fields lay barren, villages stood abandoned, and the people wore expressions of despair. King Minos, his pride shattered, beseeched Heracles to capture the bull. As Heracles tracked the beast, he recognized the unique nature of this labor. The Cretan bull was not inherently malevolent, but a victim of divine punishment. His task was to subdue it without harm, symbolizing the taming of wild nature. The confrontation was spectacular. The bull's coat gleamed like bronze, steam billowing from its nostrils. Heracles narrowly avoided its deadly horns, the ground shaking with each charge. Drawing upon his experience, Heracles grasped the bull's horns and used its momentum to flip it. The ensuing struggle was epic, lasting hours. Slowly, the hero asserted his dominance, symbolizing humanity's potential to overcome nature's forces. With the bull subdued, Heracles faced the challenge of transporting it to Mycenae. Ingeniously, he utilized the bull's ability to walk on water, a remnant of its divine origin, to guide it across the sea to the Greek mainland. As Heracles set foot on the shores of Thrace, he encountered a land where the line between man and beast blurred beyond recognition. The eighth labor awaiting him was a confrontation with the darkest depths of human cruelty. His task: to capture the mares of Diomedes, horses renowned for their insatiable appetite for human flesh. These were no ordinary horses, but creatures bred and trained to devour the flesh of unsuspecting guests and strangers. Their master, King Diomedes, ruler of the Bistones in Thrace, was known far and wide for his brutality. The king took perverse pleasure in feeding his horses the flesh of those who sought refuge in his kingdom, a practice that showcased the depths of human depravity. Thrace itself played a significant role in shaping the narrative of this labor. Often associated with barbarism and savagery in Greek mythology, Thrace stood in stark contrast to the more civilized Greek states. This reputation added an extra layer of danger to Heracles' task, as he ventured into a land where the rules of civility held little sway. The symbolism of man-eating horses reflected themes of uncontrolled nature and the consequences of human cruelty. These creatures were both a product of and a reaction to their master's brutality, representing the cyclical nature of violence, where cruelty begets cruelty. As Heracles approached the stables of Diomedes, he knew that brute force alone would not suffice. The hero devised a strategy that involved confronting their master as a means to tame the horses. The battle that ensued was one of unparalleled brutality. Heracles faced not only the savage mares, but also the king's men, who were equally steeped in the culture of cruelty that pervaded Diomedes' realm. The confrontation between Heracles and Diomedes was a battle of opposing ideologies: heroism against tyranny, compassion against cruelty. In a twist of poetic justice, Heracles defeated Diomedes and fed the flesh of the defeated king to his own mares. This act served as a powerful metaphor for the cycle of violence and retribution. This grim feast marked a turning point in the horses' behavior, as they consumed the very source of their savage nature. It represented the idea that cruelty inflicted upon others could ultimately be turned back upon its perpetrator, highlighting the theme of savagery present in both the horses and their master. With the mares subdued, Heracles faced the challenge of leading these once ferocious creatures back to King Eurystheus. The journey from Thrace to Mycenae would be long and perilous, with the constant threat that the horses might revert to their man-eating ways. As Heracles journeyed towards the land of the Amazons, he faced a challenge that would test his diplomacy rather than his strength. The ninth labor assigned by King Eurystheus required him to obtain the golden girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. This magical belt, bestowed upon Hippolyta by Ares, symbolized her authority and assured her victory in battle. It represented not only physical prowess, but also the unique status of the Amazons in Greek mythology. The Amazons, a society of warrior women, were renowned for their fierce combat skills and independence from male influence. Their culture valued strength, skill in horseback riding, and martial arts. Contrary to expectations, Heracles was met with unexpected hospitality upon his arrival. The Amazons offered him food and shelter, revealing a more nuanced aspect of their culture. During his initial meeting with Queen Hippolyta, Heracles found himself intrigued by her strength and leadership. Hippolyta reciprocated this interest, fascinated by his legendary adventures. As they conversed, they discovered common ground, their shared experiences as warriors creating an unexpected bond. This connection led Heracles to hesitate in taking the girdle by force, as he sought to form an alliance with Hippolyta and her people. The peaceful negotiations between Heracles and Hippolyta progressed well. The queen, impressed by Heracles' reputation and respectful demeanor, considered gifting him the girdle willingly. However, the goddess Hera, determined to thwart Heracles' efforts, saw an opportunity to sow discord. Disguising herself as an Amazon warrior, Hera spread rumors that Heracles intended to enslave them and kidnap their queen. She exploited the Amazons' deep-seated mistrust of outsiders, particularly men, manipulating their perceptions. The seeds of mistrust planted by Hera quickly took root, leading to a tragic misunderstanding that escalated into violence. The Amazons, believing their queen to be in danger, prepared for battle. Heracles, unaware of the deception, was caught off guard by the sudden hostility. The peaceful negotiations crumbled as both sides reached for their weapons, the promise of alliance giving way to the familiar clash of combat. The ensuing battle was fierce and chaotic. Heracles, despite his desire for a peaceful resolution, found himself forced to defend against the onslaught of Amazon warriors. The confrontation between Heracles and Hippolyta ended in tragedy. In the heat of battle, misinterpreting Hippolyta's actions as hostile, Heracles struck a fatal blow. It was only as the Amazon queen fell that Heracles realized the terrible mistake that had occurred. The golden girdle, which had been freely offered in peace, was now taken in violence, symbolizing the destructive power of misunderstanding and the tragic consequences of gender conflict in ancient Greek mythology. Heracles' 10th labor led him to the fringes of the known world, challenging him to retrieve the cattle of Geryon from the distant island of Erythea. This task tested not only his strength, but also his endurance and ingenuity, pushing him to explore the boundaries of ancient Greek understanding of the world. Erythea represented the Greek concept of the world's edge, where reality intertwined with myth. The journey itself was a formidable challenge, requiring Heracles to navigate through uncharted territories that grew increasingly treacherous. Barren deserts gave way to towering mountains and raging rivers, each presenting unique challenges that required both physical prowess and clever problem-solving. During this arduous journey, Heracles established the Pillars of Hercules, identified as the Rock of Gibraltar and Monte Hacho in Ceuta. These monumental structures marked the boundary between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, serving as a lasting symbol of the limits of human exploration in the ancient world. Upon reaching the Atlantic, Heracles faced the seemingly insurmountable task of crossing the ocean to reach Erythea. The sun god Helios, impressed by Heracles' determination, provided him with a golden cup to sail across the waters. This divine intervention highlighted the Greek belief in the god's involvement in human affairs, especially when mortals pushed the boundaries of their known world. On Erythea, Heracles encountered Orthrus, the two-headed dog guarding Geryon's cattle. Heracles' victory over Orthrus demonstrated his ability to overcome the unknown and conquer the fears associated with unexplored territories. The confrontation with Geryon, a formidable giant with 3 bodies joined at the waist, was the culmination of Heracles' journey. This battle symbolized the ultimate challenge at the world's edge, where normal rules of nature no longer applied. Heracles' triumph over Geryon, using an arrow poisoned with the Hydra's venom, showcased his adaptability and resourcefulness in facing the unknown. The return journey with Geryon's cattle presented its own set of challenges, including Hera's intervention with gadflies. These obstacles reinforced the Greek belief that exploring beyond known boundaries invited both divine and natural opposition. Heracles' perseverance in the face of these trials exemplified the Greek ideal of heroism and the rewards of pushing beyond established limits. This labor, with its journey to the world's edge and back, served as a powerful metaphor for exploration and the expansion of knowledge. It reflected the Greek fascination with the unknown and their attempts to understand and conquer the mysteries that lay beyond their familiar world. Heracles' 11th labor challenged him to retrieve the golden apples of the Hesperides, a quest that would test his strength, wit, and cunning. These apples, symbols of immortality prized by the gods, grew in a mysterious garden at the world's edge. Hera, ever hostile to Heracles, had placed a 100-headed dragon named Ladon to guard the entrance. The garden itself was a marvel of divine creation. Lush foliage surrounded trees bearing fruit of pure gold. The air shimmered with an otherworldly light, and the ground seemed to pulse with immortal energy. This ethereal beauty belied the deadly danger that awaited trespassers. Recognizing that brute force alone would not suffice, Heracles sought guidance from Prometheus, the fire-giving titan. Prometheus revealed the garden's location, but warned that no mortal could pluck the apples. He advised Heracles to enlist Atlas, the titan bearing the weight of the heavens. Upon reaching Atlas, Heracles proposed a daring exchange. He offered to temporarily shoulder Atlas's burden in return for the titan's help in retrieving the apples. This negotiation highlighted Heracles' strategic mind as he leveraged Atlas's immortality to overcome the garden's restrictions. Atlas agreed, and Heracles took on the immense weight of the celestial sphere. The hero's muscles strained under the colossal burden, a weight that would have crushed any ordinary mortal. Every moment was an excruciating test of his legendary strength and endurance. While Heracles bore this cosmic load, Atlas ventured into the garden. He navigated past the vigilant Ladin and plucked the golden apples from their branches. Upon his return, however, Atlas revealed a desire to prolong his freedom, suggesting he deliver the apples himself and leave Heracles to bear the sky indefinitely. Faced with this betrayal, Heracles displayed his cunning. He feigned agreement but requested Atlas to briefly retake the sky so he could adjust his cloak. The moment Atlas resumed his eternal task, Heracles seized the apples and departed, outsmarting the Titan. This labor exemplified the multifaceted nature of heroism in Greek mythology. Heracles demonstrated not only physical prowess but also wisdom and trickery. His clever manipulation of Atlas echoed the cunning of figures like Odysseus, highlighting that true heroism often requires more than mere strength. Ultimately, Heracles returned the apples to their rightful place, maintaining the balance between mortal and divine. This act of restraint and respect for cosmic order further underscored the wisdom he had acquired, proving that he had grown beyond his earlier, more impulsive nature. Heracles stood at the threshold of his final labor, facing a challenge that would test the very limits of mortality. The capture of Cerberus, the monstrous guardian of the underworld, awaited him in the realm of the dead. This three-headed hound, with a serpent's tail and a mane of writhing snakes, stood as the ultimate obstacle between the living and the deceased. The underworld, ruled by Hades and Persephone, was a dark and winding realm where souls journeyed after death. Unlike his previous labors, Heracles now had to navigate a landscape that defied the natural order of the living. This journey demanded more than mere strength. It required a profound understanding of the delicate balance between life and death. Before his descent, Heracles sought counsel from Hermes, the messenger of the gods. The divine guide advised Heracles to seek permission from Hades and Persephone before attempting to capture Cerberus. This counsel highlighted the importance of respecting divine authority, even for a hero of Heracles' stature. To prepare for his journey, Heracles underwent initiation into the Eleusinian mysteries. These ancient religious rites offered insights into the nature of death and rebirth, arming Heracles with knowledge crucial for his encounters in the underworld. As Heracles descended, he encountered various shades, the spirits of the deceased. These ethereal beings served as a stark reminder of the finality of death and the importance of honoring those who had passed. The hero's interactions with these spirits deepened his understanding of the profound responsibility he bore in his quest. Upon reaching Hades' throne, Heracles presented his case with humility. Hades agreed to allow the capture of Cerberus under two conditions. Heracles must subdue the beast without weapons, and Cerberus must be returned to the underworld once the labor was completed. As Heracles approached Cerberus, the air thickened with tension. Each of Cerberus's heads represented a different aspect of time, past, present, and future, symbolizing the all-encompassing nature of death. This confrontation symbolized Heracles' struggle against mortality itself, as he, a mortal hero, dared to challenge the very guardian of death. The battle that ensued was fierce. Heracles grappled with the monstrous hound, using his bare hands to subdue each thrashing head. This physical struggle mirrored the internal battle all mortals face when confronting their own mortality. Heracles drew upon the wisdom gained from his previous labors and his initiation into the Eleusinian mysteries. After a grueling contest, Heracles overpowered Cerberus, completing his 12th and final labor. By subduing the guardian of the underworld, Heracles symbolically conquered death itself. However, respecting the cosmic balance, he returned Cerberus to its post, acknowledging that even the greatest hero must ultimately yield to the natural order of life and death. The completion of the 12 labors marked a significant milestone in Heracles' journey, but his legendary exploits were far from over. As he emerged from his final task, subduing Cerberus, Heracles found himself thrust into a world that still held countless challenges and adventures. The hero, who had overcome seemingly impossible odds, now faced a future filled with both triumph and tragedy. Heracles' reputation as a formidable warrior and problem solver led him to participate in other mythical events. His involvement with Jason and the Argonauts on their quest for the Golden Fleece brought together many of Greece's greatest heroes. Heracles' strength and courage proved invaluable during the journey, though he left the group to search for his lost companion, Hylas. In the years following his labors, Heracles continued to roam Greece and beyond. He fought in wars, settled disputes between kingdoms, and even challenged the gods on occasion. His actions during this period demonstrated that the hero's drive for greatness and his desire to right wrongs remained undiminished, despite the completion of his assigned tasks. Heracles' personal life was marked by complexity and tragedy. After his marriage to Megara ended, he entered into a union with Deianira, daughter of King Aeneas of Calydon. Their relationship, while initially happy, ultimately led to Heracles' downfall. The couple had several children, but jealousy and mistrust loomed over their marriage. The tragic turn came when Heracles and Deianira encountered the centaur Nessus. As Nessus attempted to abduct Deianira, Heracles shot him with an arrow poisoned by the Hydra's blood. The dying centaur deceived Deianira, telling her his blood was a love charm. Years later, hearing rumors of Heracles' infidelity, Deianira used the supposed charm, unknowingly poisoning her husband. Realizing death was imminent, Heracles constructed a funeral pyre atop Mount Ida. As the flames consumed him, Zeus intervened, recognizing the extraordinary nature of his son's life and deeds. The king of the gods granted Heracles immortality, elevating him to divine status. Heracles' apotheosis symbolized the ultimate redemption of the hero. His ascension to Mount Olympus represented not only a physical transformation, but also a spiritual rebirth. It signified the triumph of human will and perseverance over seemingly insurmountable obstacles. More profoundly, it embodied the Greek ideal of achieving greatness through suffering and heroic deeds. The reconciliation between Heracles and Hera on Olympus brought closure to their long-standing conflict. This act of forgiveness symbolized the resolution of the internal and external struggles that had defined Heracles' existence, offering a powerful message about the possibility of redemption and the transcendence of mortal limitations. The myth of Heracles has left an indelible mark on Western culture, transcending its origins in ancient Greek mythology to become a symbol of strength, perseverance, and human struggle against adversity. For over 2 millennia, this legendary figure has captivated the imagination of artists, philosophers, and leaders, evolving to reflect the values of each generation. In ancient Greece, Heracles held religious significance. Cults dedicated to his worship spread across the Hellenic world, with Thebes becoming a center of devotion. These cults viewed Heracles as a protector and guardian, invoking his strength to safeguard their cities. The worship of Heracles as a demigod offered followers hope that they too might achieve greatness through their deeds. As Greek culture spread, so did Heracles' legend. Rulers and states recognized the potent symbolism of this hero. Alexander the Great and Roman emperors aligned themselves with Heracles, using his image to legitimize their authority. The hero's feats became a metaphor for the might of empires and the will of their rulers. Philosophers found in Heracles' 12 labors a rich tapestry of allegory and moral instruction. His trials came to represent the human condition itself, the struggle against odds, the battle with inner demons, and the quest for redemption. Stoic philosophers saw in Heracles an embodiment of their ideals: strength in adversity, self-discipline, and virtue. The portrayal of Heracles in art underwent transformations. Ancient Greek pottery depicted him as the epitome of physical perfection. Roman art often portrayed Heracles in a more humanized light. During the Renaissance, artists imbued Heracles with Christian allegorical meanings. The Enlightenment brought new interpretations of the Heracles myth. Scholars analyzed the stories as windows into the ancient Greek psyche and societal values. The labors of Heracles were seen as metaphors for the human struggle against nature and the establishment of civilization. In modern times, Heracles continues to resonate. Contemporary interpretations emphasize the hero's internal conflicts and the consequences of his actions. This nuanced approach is evident in literature and film, where Heracles is often depicted as a complex character grappling with his own legend. The enduring appeal of Heracles lies in his ability to embody both the extraordinary and the relatable. His superhuman strength sets him apart, yet his human struggles make him accessible. In this duality, modern audiences find reflections of their own challenges and aspirations. As a cultural icon, Heracles has permeated various aspects of contemporary society. His name and image are invoked in contexts ranging from sports to leadership training. The term Herculean task has entered common parlance, describing any seemingly impossible challenge. This linguistic legacy speaks to the deep-rooted impact of the Heracles myth on our collective consciousness. The 12 Labors of Hercules exemplify myth's enduring power to illuminate the human condition. These trials, each more daunting than the last, serve as metaphors for life's challenges. Heracles' journey from flawed mortal to divine hero resonates deeply, inspiring recognition of our own potential for greatness. The labors showcase not only physical prowess, but also cunning, perseverance, and the ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Greek mythology, particularly Heracles' story, offers insights into human nature, identity struggles, and moral complexities. These ancient tales remain relevant in modern discussions about personal challenges and redemption, reminding us that even legendary heroes grappled with inner demons. How might Heracles' journey reflect our own struggles and triumphs? His myth continues to inspire contemporary storytelling, echoing themes of heroism and resilience.